Mary Kee moves into a rented apartment. Her new neighbor, George, offers to help carry her things. The girl thanks him for his kindness, after which he leaves. In the evening, Mary watches an old love film, when suddenly the phone rings. She picks up the receiver. Some woman is asking for a certain Bobby. Mary explains that she has just moved in. Perhaps Bobby lived there before her. The woman hangs up. Not long ago, Mary went through a divorce with an abusive husband, and the court issued a restraining order. However, Stephen Campbell violates the order and shows up at her doorstep. He is there to hand her the envelope with the divorce papers personally. Suddenly, Stephen grabs her arm sharply, but Mary tries not to show her fear. When he leaves, she opens the envelope and finds a wedding photograph inside. Clearly, her ex-husband will not let her go so easily. To cope with the trauma, Mary attends psychotherapy. She does not go to work, does not meet friends, her life seems to have stopped. The therapist tells Mary that if she continues living in fear, it will mean Stephen has won. Mary begins to settle into the apartment. Suddenly the phone rings again. The same female voice demands to speak with Bobby. The woman introduces herself as Rose. Mary does not understand what is happening. Could this be one of Stephen's tricks? Meanwhile, Rose asks her to tell Bobby she will be waiting for him at 8 o'clock at Frank's cafe. Mary repeats that no, Bobby lives there. Rose insists she saw him yesterday at the window. The girl starts attending open French courses at the college, but by mistake she enters the wrong room and ends up at a math lecture. The handsome professor, John Geedy, points this out to her. Hardly a girl like Mary would be planning to apply for mechanical engineering. In the subway, as in any public place, Mary feels uneasy. It seems to her that Stephen is following her. She sees his face everywhere. That evening the phone rings again, and once more it is Rose, insisting Bobby come to the phone. Mary has had enough, but suddenly Rose begins to cry, saying Bobby is just using her, as he has used all the others. Rose is convinced that Mary is his mistress. She repeats she knows no Bobby. Through tears, Rose says Bobby proposed to her right after he came back from Vietnam. Mary, bewildered, asks the woman how old she is. Rose answers, 41. Mary's confusion only deepens. Since the Vietnam War ended about 40 years ago, that would mean Rose had still been a child. This angers the woman, who thinks Mary is mocking her, and the call ends. When the girl tries to call back, it turns out the number is no longer in service. Mary goes shopping, feeling someone's eyes constantly on her. When John Geedy approaches, she startles in fear and screams. The man regrets scaring her, but Mary walks away without listening. To distract herself, she weeds the flower bed near the house. Usually George tends the flowers, and he is glad one of the tenants is helping him. The phone rings again. Rose claims that today is September 4th, 1979. The woman says she will draw something right now on the wall inside the storeroom. If the drawing is still there, it will prove she is telling the truth. Thinking she is speaking with a madwoman, Mary promises to check and hangs up. Of course, she said it only to get rid of Rose. At night, Mary tosses and turns, unable to sleep. After some hesitation, she scrapes off a piece of wallpaper and indeed finds a drawing, a red rose. That means Rose has been calling her from the past. The next call is not long in coming. Mary still refuses to believe Rose, assuming someone could have told her about the drawing on the wall. Rose pleads with Mary to listen, but the girl simply says Carter will lose, Reagan will become president, and hangs up. Mary asks George who the previous tenants were. He replies Mr. and Mrs. Alvarez, Spaniards. One day they simply moved out, without telling any of the neighbors, perhaps because of some family issues. Who lived in the apartment before the couple, George does not remember, or at least that is what he says. While cleaning, Mary accidentally finds a Christmas postcard from 1977. Rose calls again, begging Mary not to hang up. She feels so lonely, she needs someone to talk to. Mary finally agrees to listen. Rose is certain fate has brought them together for a reason. Thus the women begin speaking every day, getting to know each other better. Rose confides that her boyfriend Bobby constantly cheats on her, yet she stays with him because she loves him. Mary advises her new friend to leave Bobby, because men like him never change. And the girl shares her own story. She will never regret her decision to divorce. But events take a sinister turn when Mary sees that the storeroom has been bricked up with a wall. Rose calls and confesses that she took Bobby's life in this very apartment, the one where Mary now lives. Rose intends to stay there. Frightened, Mary tells the woman never to call this number again and hangs up. The phone rings all evening without pause. Unable to endure it any longer, Mary rips the cord from the wall, then nails shut the storeroom door. The girl continues her French courses. After a lecture when heavy rain is pouring down, she sees a man sitting inside her car in the parking lot and screams. Mary asks John Geedy to go with her and check, but what she had taken for a man's face turns out to be nothing more than a large photograph in a newspaper. The man suggests Mary join him for coffee at his parents' cafe. There they get to know each other better. Feeling no threat from John, Mary quickly relaxes, and time passes unnoticed. Later, John walks her home and wishes her good night. Entering her apartment, Mary finds Stephen there, having broken in through the back door. She threatens to call the police, but he advises her not to do that. No one needs to see him angry. Stephen says she will belong either to him alone or to no one at all. The conversation is interrupted by John's sudden return. He claims he forgot his jacket. Seeing Stephen acting overly courteous, John immediately senses something is wrong and decides to stay. Before leaving, Stephen promises he will be back. Mary tells John the truth. She sees no point in going to the police, believing it will only make things worse. Stephen does not care about the restraining order. John leaves only after making sure all the locks are secure. Mary calls the building manager about the broken air conditioner, but interference makes it hard to hear. A few seconds later the phone rings again, but this time it is not Rose, it is the girl's mother. From then on, John begins to show Mary signs of affection. He is the complete opposite of her ex-husband, and the girl even slowly begins to learn to trust men again. George also thinks John is a great guy and drops every hint that Mary should not miss her chance. Rose makes herself known again. This time the woman threatens Mary. If she continues to ignore the calls, something terrible might happen in the past to her and to her mother. Mary hangs up. From then on, her thoughts are consumed by this. In the past, Rose starts following little Mary and her mother. What if she seriously harms them? How would that affect the present? Mary suspects George lied when he said he did not remember who lived in the apartment in '79. The man gives in, and admits it was Rose Lazar. According to him, she was a depressive woman. She had a boyfriend, a soldier, and they quarreled constantly. At one point he simply vanished, and she moved in here. A short time later Rose voluntarily passed away. Mary goes to the city archive, but she fails to learn anything new. Trusting John completely, the girl tells him about Rose and the brick wall. She does not believe it is Stephen's doing, since he could not possibly have built the wall without her noticing. Although John does not believe in time travel, he takes Mary's distress seriously. If any events of the past are changed, it could directly affect the present. Mary is the only one who remembers there was no brick wall, because she herself is the reason it appeared. It was Mary who set this chain of events into motion. John suggests breaking down the brick wall to be certain. If all this is true, then a body should be sealed inside. But Mary refuses to touch the wall under any circumstances. Together they go to a carnival in the city. With John, Mary feels safe. Yet joy turns to unease, when late at night she hears the doorbell ring. No one is there. Mary sees only a red cap lying on the road, the very one John had won for her at the carnival and accidentally lost. The girl picks it up and returns to her apartment. It quickly becomes clear she is not alone. Mary checks every room, then looks out the window and sees not far away the silhouette of a woman. The girl falls asleep on the couch in front of the television, unaware that Stephen is sitting in the armchair beside her. The next morning she is woken by a phone call. Rose threatens again, saying she will harm Mary's mother if the girl hangs up. And Rose knows that yesterday Mary was walking with some man. The girl decides to be cunning and lies to Rose, claiming she saw her yesterday in a nursing home. She is old, completely lonely, and unwanted by anyone. Mary asks Rose to think about why she has no friends, why Bobby deceived her constantly, and why she pursues a person who is a complete stranger to her. Her own anger may lead Rose to madness and solitude, but now she has the power to change everything, before it is too late. John repairs Mary's air conditioner. She knows she can rely on him in any situation. George also becomes a kind friend to her. Rose begins to suspect that Mary deceived her, and in the next phone call she asks whether Mary visited her that day in the nursing home. Mary answers yes. When asked if she noticed anything unusual, the girl replies no. The woman orders her to dig something up under the palm tree near the house. In a jar Mary finds a letter from Rose accusing her of lying, along with the sender's finger. If Rose were truly in a nursing home now, Mary would have noticed that she was missing a finger. When the girl shows this to John, he can no longer refuse to believe. Rose calls again, but this time John answers. The woman asks whether Mary has received her gift, and she has another surprise. Guessing what Rose is leading to, Mary goes to George's apartment, but instead of him she finds a young woman with a child. The woman insists she has lived there for several months and knows no one named George. John also remembers nothing of George. This means Mary has harmed George and changed the future. John begins to suspect Mary is simply having a nervous breakdown after the painful divorce and constant anxiety. Not wanting to leave her alone, he invites her to spend the night at his place. Mary agrees. John advises her to move out of that apartment as soon as possible. Perhaps it is the only way to end all this. Mary no longer knows what to believe. At night she cannot sleep and comes into John's room. Passion flares between them. The girl is woken by a phone call. Could it be that Rose has found her even here? Fortunately, it turns out to be only a nightmare. In the morning, John makes coffee for Mary. She plans to return to the apartment, pack her things and call her mother. The man supports her in this decision. While walking her dog, Mary encounters Stephen, who is furious that his ex-wife has found a new man. He cannot allow Mary to belong to anyone else. But she does not turn back from her decision and packs her things. John calls and suggests meeting in the park after his classes. However, he is late. Mary calls him, but the number she dials is out of service. The girl comes to his parents' cafe, and they are bewildered when she says she is looking for their son, because John died a long time ago. At his grave, Mary cries in despair. She has lost her true love just as she found it. An elderly woman approaches her and reveals that it is not known whether John died or not. He went missing, his body was never found. With nothing left to lose, Mary breaks down the brick wall and discovers in the storeroom 3 bodies that have clearly lain there for decades. The girl realizes they are Bobby, George, and John. Rose took their lives only to torment Mary. The girl is on the edge, not knowing what to do. The phone rings again. Mary hesitates, but finally picks up. Rose is ready to do anything just to make the girl suffer, blaming her for all those deaths. When Mary hears her own childhood voice on the line, she realizes that her fate is completely in Rose's hands. The woman has brought the little girl home and now blackmails Mary, who dared to reject her friendship. She begs Rose to stop, but it is in vain. Mary hears boiling oil spill, and hideous scars instantly appear across her body. Soon Rose calls again. Mary does not want to anger the woman further and says that they are friends once more. Because of Rose's actions, Mary's destiny has been twisted. All her birthdays were lonely, since other children feared her and refused to be her friends. Tomorrow is Mary's birthday too, and she invites Rose to the bowling park so they can spend time together, even if separated by time itself. In truth, it is part of a clever plan, a trap. Mary knows about the terrible fire that occurred there in the past. By Rose's reckoning of time, it should happen tomorrow. But the woman, whether by accident or intention, misses the bus and never reaches the bowling park. Realizing that Mary tried to rid herself of her in this way, Rose once again takes little Mary hostage. The girl promises Rose that she will never betray her again, but of course any words are useless. The woman tells her to wait for guests and hangs up. Someone begins pounding at Mary's door. The girl barricades it and into the phone urges her younger self to run, but all the doors are locked. Rose, now an old woman, bursts into Mary's house and strikes her with a deep wound. All these years she has been waiting for revenge. Locking herself in the bathroom, Mary begs her younger self not to give up, to fight. When Rose breaks down the door and is about to deliver the final blow, she suddenly disappears. The younger Mary has taken Rose's life, saving herself in the process. What has happened makes no sense to the girl. Suddenly Stephen arrives and makes it clear he will not leave. When Mary tries to drive him away, he slaps her. But Mary is no longer the same as before. In the final scene we see her with a satisfied smile, bricking up the wall in the storeroom.